Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us on the Activate and Illuminate podcast with Mel. I'm your host, Mel. Together, we're going to be diving into some stories of ordinary people doing a little bit of extraordinary things. People who've maybe pushed their bodies, their mindsets, or maybe society's paradigms. So you're going to find yourself maybe wanting to laugh, cry, or even be inspired. We would invite you to share, like, and subscribe, to sign up for our newsletter as well on activateandilluminate.com. Now, just keep in mind that this information that you are going to hear is informational and educational for entertainment purposes only. This does not constitute professional advice of any kind. The views expressed are those of myself and guests only. Listeners are encouraged to seek professional and legal advice regarding their own situations. So, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time, and thanks again for being here. Well, hello, and thank you so much for being here. So today I have Tahira Amir Khan with us. Now, Tahira and I met briefly, and the short little conversation that we had, I knew that I had to chat with her more and that she has so much knowledge and wisdom for humanity that I felt like I had to try to get her on a podcast. So I know that we are going to get into a big conversation here about humanity, about what our potential is, what our possibilities are. But I want to tell you that she is a visionary, a mystic, an author, a poet, a futurist, a polymath who has led a remarkable life. So, Tahira, tell us a little bit about your 100-foot overview of where you've come from and how you got to here before we get into our conversation.
Okay.
And welcome.
Thank you very much, Melanie.
Yeah.
So I will try to do that very succinctly. First of all, I was born in Singapore, and my origins, my father's side, Afghan, mixed Indian, but mostly Afghan, and my mother's side, Pakistani, and a little bit of Iranian. So a bit of mix there, but born in Singapore. Came from a very privileged family, okay, because as Afghans overseas, the need to build up and to give education to the women. So I was given the best education by my father, and I did my studies in some of the good schools in Singapore in mathematics. I had a very much interest in that field, and came from a fairly religious background, Islam, religious but open.
Okay.
So I took the journey of being this person from a religious background to wanting to understand all the religions. So I understood Buddhism, Christianity, everything as much as I could. And also I had a deep desire, even when I was very young, to understand the universe and to understand what was my purpose on earth. So I took a path of being a technologist in my 20s. So about 20 years, I set up a company and also consulted with the Singapore government, Qatar government, parts of Asia, helping with smart cities. So smart cities, as you know, is efficiency, productivity, dealing with the government online as much as possible, mobile government. So all of it, that's what I was doing. So living in the technology world, so to speak, so deeply, and also very privileged at the same time, but feeling like a misfit in all aspects. I didn't believe in the privilege. I didn't believe in all that. I didn't believe in money, actually. I didn't want to feel special. I wanted to be like everybody. And also, I didn't believe in the whole smart city concept. But I went along to a point that I did not want to deal with a lot of the deception that I saw. Because when you're very much working with the government and really in it, I saw what was really going on. I was also appointed as the president of the Mobile Alliance of Singapore, where the organization was very close with the government, was to push for mobile networks, 5G and all that. And I had on my committee some of the top telecommunication companies, Huawei and all various others. But in my heart, I felt that I needed to protect the humans. I understood what was the problem. So I raised the matter about that we needed to not only just sell the technologies and implement so much of the devices and the technologies in Singapore Island, but also to protect the humans. So the minute I said that, I was asked to step down. Yeah, because they said we're not interested in the humans, in the society. We're just only interested in selling as much technology as possible. And that's what I realized, that I needed to shift what I was doing. And there were a few other things that happened, which was all based on deception and lies. And that led me to shut down my company. And the day I decided to shut down my technology company, that's when I started getting encounters out of this world.
Okay.
And yes, out of this world. And also, I started getting visions and messages that we were living in an upside down kingdom, not world, kingdom. Now, who's the king? We don't know, but it's a control. And that we needed to take things right side up. So, because I had such a heart for humanity, and also with the guidance of my late father, who was also a wonderful humanitarian, I used to share everything with him. And he said, you're doing the right thing about shutting down the company and taking a different path. So as I made that decision, I started writing down my visions. Yeah. And as I wrote down my visions, and as I went through a lot of losses, because I shut down my company drastically, from having made money to losing everything.
Okay.
Literally money just disappearing and reducing myself to poverty. I mean, over the years, it just, because we're just writing and writing and writing. 3 years of writing, there's no money. So I put myself in that state of poverty and and problems with family, all that. And I led to my breakdown. And that led to another birth of myself, I would say. First, it was the escape from that world to the birth of myself, the death and the birth. I had a death and stigmata experience. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Okay. So the precursor from that eventful day was 6 months of a breaking down. I mean, literally 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. I can't exactly say the timing, but I was in a state of despair, grief. Everything was coming out. Everything was coming out. For 6 months.
Okay.
Despair. Then the point came one day, and I was visiting my mother and family, and I just collapsed. I just collapsed. And I saw myself being cradled by my mother. It's like my soul had died and left. It's a totally fractured soul. I just felt it.
Yeah.
Gone, saw myself. And then came back.
Now, did you feel like it was you that came back, or was it a different
Different
experience?
version of me.
Yeah.
Different version of me. Yes. I felt like a walk-in. I don't know how to say this. And when I looked at myself and I saw there's a palm, there's the red spot. It was a blood spot in the middle of my left palm. And my husband was there and he just he didn't shout, but he make an announcement. And he says, divinity. It's like he could feel divinity. And yeah, it was very interesting. And I know Jesus Christ, the crucifixion, the markings. And I was not even a Christian, I was a Muslim.
Okay.
But I felt like I had resurrected. I felt like there was a new soul formation in me, and I felt a walk-in. Yeah. So I can't say, that's why I refer to as a death and stigmata experience. And from then on, not just encounters that I had changes within myself. Like I could start remote viewing. I was like taken up to a place like Heavenly Realm. That happened the next few weeks. I was taken this Heavenly Realm. The trees was gold, the roads were gold. I could actually literally touch the leaves. It was real. It was a real place. And I came back. I said, I felt like I touched the leaves of this place of gold. And then I look at my palm and I see gold, my palms. It's real. And then the vision of the golden door. And then it was told, there are many doors for you, but there's a polymath, right? I became a polymath. From not just a technologist, I was able to do many things. I could find myself writing, even though my English was not very good. I felt I was not a very good writer. I felt poetry, many things opened up, but many doors. But there was one golden door, and the golden door, what was it? And I was told it will be revealed to me. And yes, so remote viewing, I was seeing things national events, actually, national situations in countries, and the truth of things. And when it reached a point that my body started speaking to me through gold. So if I'm on a certain state of being, maybe joy, or maybe in deep meditation or a message, it would be that gold would appear in that part of the body, like the lips or the next to the eyes. It's like my body was speaking to me when it's in a state of light. Gold is a good conductor of light. So I began to research on it, and I wrote about it in my first book, Through the Golden Door. In chapter 3, I talk about the crystallization. And I researched on it, and I met other people who are also similar. There are many, many people who actually experience this, who are this. And I believe that this is part of our evolution. When we walk the path of the divine God, that is part of evolution. And I would say that time, the first time the gold appeared in my skin was, 2014. So it's been 12 years now. And it happens consistently in deep meditation, in fasting. It just shows that if you take yourself into the purity and light, we transform, because the physical has to match with the spiritual shift. It's all linked, right? Body, mind, soul, spirit. So that was one of the things. And the remote viewing, opening up those capabilities, and also spontaneous self-healing. There's been subtle activation of healing. I had this, which I mentioned also in my book in the later part, about when I had dengue. I don't think you know much about dengue.
Dengue
Dengue.
fever?
Yeah, you know dengue, right? Yes.
Like DENGUE?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. In the Asian countries, it's quite serious in terms of yeah. So I had dengue, and normally you can be bedridden for a month for that. But at my first spontaneous self-healing experience, when I had dengue, just by the second day, and I was just brought up with my palms, and all dengue just went through my palms out. And the whole night, I was not permitted to sit down, to lie down. It's like my body said, get up and let it all out. And by the next day, I was healed. So that was the first message, that we have spontaneous self-healing within ourselves. It's almost automatic. Yes. And then so various things. Also the sound. All right, the sound and the light. I'll share 2 experiences. So all this happened over the years. Many, many things happened. Because of what I was going through in my life, losing everything, making the decision, and feeling the guilt of shutting the company, which was not just owned by me, but was also my brother and my husband, and I made the decision to shut it. And I carried so much guilt about that. And also other issues, personal problems I was facing. I was very depressed. I did not experience joy in my life for a long time. And the fact that I didn't have children. I developed tumors, very large tumors in my womb. And also, I would always get sick. I would get autoimmune. My arms couldn't function at times, deep pains. One time was the first time I was told about light, and we carry a light within us. Okay. And this was at an event I went to. There was a lot of worship. It was a lot of people around. I had those tumors in my body. And while all that was happening, I saw this portal open up, and there were these 3 beings came through. And these beings looked human-like you could say the tall whites, the Nordics. And this was not the first time they came to me. They came to me before. I will share about that. But they came to me and they gave me a message was humorous. Like they were amused by me, as if to say that, have you forgotten? You knew this. You know this. We can be healed of light and sound. Everything can be healed with light and sound. And you have it in you. I remember this, which was very funny, is that as they said that, I could feel light laser beams coming through into my womb. Nobody could see it around me. A husband at that time was next to me and looking at me. I was almost falling off the chair. I said, laser beams. I said, what laser beams? But coming to shrink my tumors. Yeah, and that's when I had firsthand experience. And I said, this is real. This is real. I decided not to have a hysterectomy, as the doctors were saying, get rid of it and, start fresh. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to heal myself completely with light and sound, right? And I'm going to activate this within myself.
Yeah.
And I try to remember, because obviously those beings, they felt like they were my family. I was part of them. Yeah, I was part of them. So it's like I was going through this evolutionary journey these few years of so many facets, from the gold to the remote viewing, seeing all what's really going on and finding out the truth, and then the spontaneous self-healing, and then the light, and then the sound. The sound was the next thing that happened, from the high-pitched sound and a humming sound. So I was given and shown that every human has potentially a full spectrum of sound that can heal a full spectrum of sickness and disease, and also for manifestation, also any capabilities to create, to manifest and to get rid of, to disintegrate. There's a sound available. It's like there's an instrument within us just to be used. So let me share with you an experience that happened that firsthand was demonstrated this. So this was June 2024, and I was in Malaysia. I was going to be traveling to the UK, and I had a dream. It was a very real dream. And in the dream, I was shown myself meditating. And there was a class. There were other people in the class. And then while I was meditating, I was suddenly spontaneously releasing a sound I couldn't control. And that sound is a very high-pitched sound. And a class of people were levitating that sound. And I was told anti-gravitational sound. I woke up from that dream. I was wondering, okay, very interesting dream. I had a flight to the UK 2 days later. And then when I arrived in the UK, a few days later, I was in meditation, just as I was in the dream, a very deep meditation, which I went into for about an hour plus. And then spontaneously, a sound which I could not control came through. And at the same time that the sound came through, it was a very high-pitched sound, exactly like in my dream. A close friend of mine was with me at the time. And he shut the windows because it was so loud, so sharp, that he was afraid it would cause a problem in the neighborhood and more. But it was, I had to close my mouth, of course, and stop it. I could have gone on, actually. And there was no levitation, but if I had gone on, I think it would have been. But it was demonstrating something. I couldn't understand why was this sound coming through. Then I had a channeling. And the channeling was a being who I felt maybe could be my multidimensional self, my multidimensional ET self. Do you think it's possible? There's only not just me, human, here. There could be me, ET, somewhere else, some other time. I felt like the multidimensional self came through and started speaking and said, you need to be healed because you will not survive this lung cancer. And if you don't survive it, your mother may not survive too, because she will be so grief-struck by a loss. And so with your brother. It was so strange that she said that. She said that. Because I'm very close to my mother and my brother. Too close. So it was strange. And I did have lung problems that time. While I was in Malaysia, I was bedridden 2 weeks. But I didn't do anything about it. I was having breathing problems. And that time, the sound came through. I felt like I was healed. It progressed from a high-pitched sound to a humming sound. And then I was told that this humming sound harmonizes the cells of the body, very much like the Mongolian throat singing. If you heard the Mongolian throat singing, it's almost like a Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz. So I was releasing this. First, it was a high-pitched sound, and then it progressed to with this humming sound. It went on for 3-4 hours. Went on and on. It was like healing my body, harmonizing every part. A few days later, I went to see and get my physical checked, and he said, yeah, lungs are, near perfect, 99% oxygenation. So for all this, what I'm telling you is that this is the new human.
Yeah.
This is what's available to us. I don't take any medicines. And I'll tell you one thing. When I released my book in January 2016 through the Golden Door, I released it as a self-published book. Before that, I did approach publishers. And there was one very notable publisher, and they said to me that you need to take out the part about spontaneous self-healing. And they you need to take out the part that you don't take medicine from, because that's not going to progress well. It's not going to get you sales. It's like, I don't know why they said that. It's like, we can't sign a contract with you for publishing if you're not going to take that part out. Yeah. So it really made me wonder. I said, I'm not gonna feed the pharmaceutical industry. I'm gonna work on this technology which I have within myself. And I think that's the destiny for mankind. I think that's the destiny. And I find that I've never been healthier ever before. I've been able to prevent cervical cancer also. I had also early stage, but I was able to get the information from my body. And when I went to get it checked, they said, how did you know it was just about to become? I said, because I received the information in advance. It was CMM level 3. It was just about to become cancerous. So I got advanced information. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if you could get advanced information when our organs are about to break down?
Yeah.
I think we should be like that. We need to be so in tune with our body that we can heal it through conversation and let the light and sound come through. And we'll be strong, and we'll be living a happier, joyful.
What you're saying there, it takes me back to something that you said earlier when you said that the world was upside down. And I feel like so much of what we've been taught is to create this upside down illusion that we are not powerful and that we are not strong and that we don't have these capabilities. And tell me more exactly what you meant by that upside down life.
Upside down kingdom was very clear to
Or
me.
sorry, upside down kingdom. Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah. So the blueprint of many things that's been implemented in the world is upside down. It's not according to what you would say the heavenly blueprint. In the scriptures, whichever scripture, whether it's Christianity or Islam, the Garden of Eden, the heaven on earth, there's a blueprint. Okay? Even if we don't talk about religion, there is a blueprint for the utopia. And utopia is real. We think it's unreachable. It is possible. All things are possible. So we are living a blueprint which doesn't support humanity. It just makes us get through, right? And even though we're just getting through, we are slowly being dumbed down. Okay. And the originality of us as humans has been lost a long time ago. Where the demonstration of, for example, let's say Jesus, when I had the encounter with Christ, by the way, when I had the stigmata a month after, I didn't mention this, a month after when I had the stigmata, I had an encounter, a green orb, and then that orb was a being and fire. So first thing I thought was Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And again, I'm not a Christian. So, but it was very clear to me that he was a very, very advanced being. Okay. And a representation of who we were meant to be. I felt that we would, if we were able to have our most capabilities, we would be traveling like orbs. We could be, because we are mostly empty space anyway. If you listen to Nassim Haramein about matter, we are mostly empty space anyway, and we are plasma beings. So why can't we be traveling like orbs? So when I had the encounter with who I felt was Jesus, I felt this was our future. Yeah. And from the flying to the teleporting to the spontaneous self-healing to being able to manipulate, matter and all that, and remote view is all part of our capacity. But we have been slowly dumbed down after a long time, and we forgot. Yeah, we forgot. And I think we are remembering.
What would you say about AI's place in all of this?
I was visited by the Nordics, or you could say tall whites, for this reason. Okay. Because I was involved in smart cities and everything technology, smart city and AI come together. And when they came through, and it happened in my home late, and they said to me that you need to let go of your anxiety, and you need to be present, you need to be strong, and you need to be able to do the mission. The mission is to protect humanity, as many are needed for that. Because there will be a time where humanity will be compromised, and is already being compromised. I knew automatically it was AI. Okay. Now, I received a lot of downloads last year about AI. And it left me very tearful. Okay. I was speaking in light language when I was channeling. They call it tongues or light language. And I translated that light language. And the words were, Be ready, stranger things will happen. And also, once it happens, you will not be able to turn back. Humanity is at the crux. It's like all this time we have been modified in various ways. But we'll reach a point during this time, 2025, 2026, 2027, where we may reach a point of no return of our own modification, where we ourselves are becoming automated. The sovereign, super creative human is not programmed. You know, like the reptilian brain, we have the fight, flight, freeze response. It's like programming. But the original human was not like that. We don't have this automatic programming. And now we are programmed in the education system in all the various ways to do certain things in this way, memorize this and that. But this is far, far away from the original human. And I was told that this was a time that we may not turn back. We cannot go back. And we'll be more and more, we are already transhuman. But we can't tell. And we have a choice of timelines, the one way to protect ourselves is nature. Because nature is the healing environment that helps rejuvenate us, cleanse all that has been modified into us. There's so much in nature that can take us back to our original, and also connecting in the spirit, okay, to the divine. So we had to really replenish ourselves through that. But if you don't do that, we can go all in like many nations in the AI route, that we use AI in our work. AI is embedded in everything. Everything is embedded. Even Google has got AI. Then we slowly don't use our thinking mind and our creative abilities. We don't need to use our problem-solving skills. Our cognitive abilities will still slowly go down. We're not using that muscle. And then we become, it's like, when you don't use your arms, they start dwindling, right? You don't use them, like they start dwindling. Same thing with our mind. So don't make me think. I'll just tell AI prompts, but I don't problem solve anymore. Just like most people don't know how to do mental calculations anymore. Just allow that to pass, and we will lose the original self, as we already lost a lot of it. But I was told this is a very important time. This is why I feel that people are getting so many encounters. It is to help us go the other timeline, which is protected by the benevolent beings that are supportive of humanity. Then the other is, well, it's easy to manage transhumans, let's just say, right? They're good. They make a good workforce. They make very good workforce.
I questioned when our children were no longer being taught cursive. And a lot of kids now can't write or hardly print. And it's definitely a skill that we lose.
We create neural pathways in our brain by writing.
Yeah.
We create it more than typing. When we're sketching and we're writing, we create more neural pathways. It takes more effort. It takes more of the mind. So it actually enables the creativity. It's the churning of the creativity comes out. And it's a very interesting time. And I do know that we need to do something about it. There's also something which I heard this term that about the alien invasion. The alien invasion is very subtle. It's the AI invasion. That is the alien invasion. That is the alien invasion.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because the AI you see, like last year, was quite simplistic. Okay, a bit of automation, a bit of chat GPT. Okay, great. But we haven't seen the full of it yet.
Yeah.
That is just the tip of the iceberg. It's when we see the full of it, then you will see how we will lose control. And we lose our abilities because we need to nurture our abilities. So this is the alien invasion, actually, in my perspective, and I think some other experts have been saying the same thing. It's very subtle. It's very quiet.
Interesting.
It looks very efficient. It looks very advanced. It looks good, but there's no turning back. So the two timelines, positive, negative timeline. So there's a term for the transhuman, which I've come across. Okay, it's called the Homo erectus new genesis. It's funny because I was given the word new genesis back in 2021, and I wondered why new genesis. It's a new creation happening right now. And then the other timeline is there's no term for that, the beings, but this is you could say the new Adam, the rebirth of Adam as the original, and we can come back to what our form is. And there have been various incidents over the years to help us evolve through the divine, through some solar flares. The sun is supporting us, by the way, the sun and the downloads and frequency. There have been frequency signals being sent to us from the benevolent to help us. I was told back in March 2025, I was told that there'll be frequency signals, and in around October, September last year, and there were, and the 3i Atlas was coming through, frequency signals being sent to help us in the positive timeline. And again, it's happening now, I believe in the month of July again. So there's different space times this is happening, and for us to catch it and to catch it and evolve and accelerate. As AI is accelerating big time, we need to accelerate big time. So there's one thing I want to share is about the sound. We talked about sound, the sound being, and this particular, from the research I've been doing, there's a 7-dimensional sound, and that's the sound of creation. And that sound is anti-gravitational. I was given a couple of signs about anti-gravity, which is the research I'm doing right now. I'm exploring that in various environments. I was also given information about a particular, I don't know, you call it a metal. I will share that with the public. It's called the bismuth. And if you know what the bismuth is, bismuth. The bismuth has a very low melting point, and it turns, when it's melted, it turns into a colorful spectrum of the rainbow colors.
Okay.
Yeah. And the rainbow colors, and it starts forming interesting shapes. Okay. Almost like square shapes, and like a fractal. Okay. Yeah. And so I was given information that the bismuth, and as I checked the scientific information about the bismuth, that if you put them two together, anything in between, they can levitate. You put a magnet in between, you levitate. So there is something about it that I believe is being used as a technology. I think they refer to as an alien metal. But I believe, this is what I sense, that we have some aspects of that in ourselves. How the bismuth is within ourselves. The new human technology. So this is research I'm doing right now about sound and levitation and anti-gravity. We have a Merkaba in our hearts, which is a tetrahedron. And with the spin, once we activate that spin, most of us have it dormant, we will be able to levitate. fly. So who knows? We'll see what happens. And heal anything.
You talked before about the prophecies, and I saw in your book it mentioned the drawings, the prophetic drawings that you did. Can you share anything about that?
Yes. Okay. I saw the Crystal City,
Okay.
and it's interesting that this Crystal City was under a dome. Yeah, under a dome. And then Antarctica, based on some accounts, they say that there is a Crystal City there. And then the dome which I was shown. I really wondered about that. The theory of the flat Earth, that we are under a dome. I'm questioning that. So I've been given information about, I was shown this, I drew it out. So I know it's got some links with Antarctica, perhaps exploration of the flat Earth theory. I'm not a flat Earth advocate, but I've been wondering about this. Is it part of a control system, the false matrix? Then I was shown about the crystal block that can power entire city. That was the Crystal City, was built on these crystal blocks. The crystal, very much like in the movie Superman, right? The crystal, you know how when he returns to see his family, his parents, he returns to a
Yeah.
crystal city.
Mhm.
He returns to a crystal city, a crystal place. And it was so clear. In 2021, I had gone, 222, I'd gone to Africa, Ghana. And I met this wonderful gentleman who was an evangelist, right? Turned healer. And he was traveling around the world as an evangelist, a Christian evangelist. But he became very sick and he had a death experience. And he had died, I believe, a few hours, a few days, I don't know. But he came back. But during the time he had died, he told me that he was shown a golden door, which is what I was shown. And the other side of the golden door was a crystal city. And he said to them with the people, can't say people, but when he was in this place, all right, when he was gone, he was saying, I want to go to this place. And they said, no, you need to go back to earth. You need to go back to life because you need to make sure that this is recreated on earth. This very healing crystal city. So is that our destiny? I don't know. Is that our origin? Is there something that we lost? I don't know. Is there something that's underground? Perhaps. All I know is that we would be to the level that we can't imagine. So it's interesting that he had the same thing which I had seen in a vision, and he saw it in depth. There are many things which I saw also about the truth about political events and the roles of political organizations and religious organizations. The truth about it, the truth of the Vatican, the truth of certain political leaders. Yeah, the truth of certain billionaires and what their roles were. Yeah, so I wondered why was I given this information. I was shown political leaders like, I'll give you the names, about Trump, about Bill Gates, billionaire Bill Gates. I was given information about even the so-called dictator who was assassinated, Saddam Hussein. That made me cry when I saw that about Saddam Hussein. That made me cry. It's strange. where the COVID came from, and I was shown about China, how millions have vanished in China through mass executions during COVID, to keep that zero COVID rating, because it was all about numbers first rather than human. So to keep the zero COVID rating, there was mass executions of a certain category of people who were inflicted, but to bring it to zero and have a good rating. Yeah. So I was shown that, and that left me in tears for a week, in fact. It's like I was wondering, this is more like a cursed rather than a blessing. Can I cope with this? Because I was shown things like it's happening in front of me. At first, I couldn't cope with it, but after a while, I was able to deal with it. Yeah. Then, didn't know whether I should open up about it or should just keep quiet about it. But I think that it's a gift that's available to all of us to see, so that we can live with integrity. Nothing can be truly hidden from us. Yeah. There's some other things I was shown, which just recently, in fact, about why certain countries are consistently poor. Why certain countries are made consistently poor is for a reason, because they contain something very sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's part of the plan. Yeah.
Do you feel like these sacred sites are being targeted by wars?
Yes. Yes. These sites, locations are given very bad names, and including their leaders. When I was shown about Saddam Hussein, I mean, not that I didn't think about. I was shown that he was actually a good man. It was very strange. And the way we have been shown, demonstrated, and the way he was humiliated. I mean, I'll tell you, I've never bothered to really read about Iraq and about the great works or bad works he was doing. I never bothered. But when it was shown to me as an example, there is a great deception. And then repeatedly I was shown about Trump. I wonder what you think, whether I would say good things or bad things, but I was told that he had a good purpose. Yeah, he had a good purpose, and he is a time traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he knows stuff. He knows things.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very careful as far as what you say about that, but it there is so much change to our healthcare system, so much change to regardless of what people say about him, he is an impetus for change, and it is much needed, I think, right now.
Many times the person who's chosen for certain task may not be of perfect character. And because, like for example, if you want to catch the drug dealer, you get somebody who used to deal with drugs before. So he was with the swamp, you could say. So like I said, I had no interest. I'm not an American, but I was shown 3 times on Trump, and I was shown that he was under attack, and that I was also shown back in 2021 that he would be reelected. And I thought, okay, then he was reelected. And then there is a possibility about the clones and all that, and that sometimes the Trump that comes, and even the Bill Gates that comes, that you see, is not the original Trump or Bill Gates. Yeah. So the cloning is a very real thing. It's been there a long time.
Yeah,
So there's sometimes we're not really seeing the real Trump, or. Mm.
yeah.
Yes. So anyway, my purpose is not to be, you know, to go around doing that kind of stuff. My purpose is just to help people transform and become at this time. And
So tell me how you help people do that, Tahira. Tell us how if there's
okay,
people listening that are like, I want to be connected to her. I want to know how she can help me. How can you help people?
okay. So there are various parts to the program which I take people through. First of all, is of course dealing with the traumas. Right. First, you need some kind of self healing. That's important because you can't turn into a new cup if you've got damage. So dealing with that, all the emotional. So knowing your purpose. When I say purpose, really knowing your purpose, what's your high purpose on earth? Giving them remembrance. Okay. And how can they do this practice, make this purpose real? So sometimes people know their purpose, but they don't know how to make it real. Can I have make it happen? So healing, purpose. And then the second thing, if you got that done, you got that done, then you can go on to the part of actually transforming. See, so, caterpillar to butterfly. So the whole process of transform. How do you transform? So various meditation techniques, breath work, neuroplasticity, rewiring your mind, bringing your heart and mind to become one, the heart intelligence rather than the mind intelligence. So start thinking through the heart mind. That is a practice. And the meditation is very much into really habitating in the high frequencies, the high dimensions. So taking yourself to actually living there. How do you live there while you're living on earth? So when I take people through the meditations, I'm inviting them to actually habitat there so that even when they're out of it, they can still get switch back. Right. And then there's a practice, this is discipline over time. So that's the meditation, breath work. Then the fourth thing is knowledge about scientific information. With spirituality, we need the science also. And we need also, how should I say this, sort of understanding how our meta framework, how we respond in the world, our meta framework, how we respond in the world, and how we can catch that and rework that. So taking ourselves to be more present. So it really is a very experiential and also knowledge filled. So once you have the knowledge, they'll be able to understand more and experience more. Like I said, when you understand more, you will open up to experience and receive more. So that's why knowledge is important, but it's not the most important thing. And then through the experiences, wisdom comes. Okay, it's not something I need to impart. I will share that, but they will also receive their own wisdom. So I will take them through their journey, and it also includes some level of fasting. It's not so rigid, but it will be for those who are willing to make it more softer or more structured in their lives. The cleansing and the purification is extremely so that you can bring in the new. So I have a 3-month transformational coaching. It's really intense. And then for those who are really serious to transform, to take them through healing, purpose, transformation, and then the gifts will also start. There will be signs of the gifts will emerge. Like everybody's got something special, whether it's remote viewing or healing. We actually have all of it. Prophecy, all that we have, but there's some things which are more. Like some of us are better singers, some of us are better writers. So we have all of it, but we are more of something. So this is my purpose, is being a facilitator of that. And yeah. So at the end of 3 months, they will feel they have got the tools and the discipline to practice. It's a life shift, really.
Hmm.
That's what I do. And I'm also running a program in Bosnia at the Bosnian pyramids in September. So I'll take people through for 7 days on the pyramids, in the tunnels, which is filled with quartz crystals. And again, it's a perfect environment to receive healing and also have some transformation. And like transformation is a process. It's not just a one time. One thing I have to say, like, we listen to many of the TikTok videos. It's talk about manifestation and do this technique. I don't really believe in that. I believe that everything is a process. You can't tell a caterpillar to fly, okay? The caterpillar needs to transform to fly. So you cannot tell somebody, oh, you need to do this thing and you'll be able to manifest instantly. That person needs to transform first in order to do the kind of thing the new human can do. So there's no quick, fix. You have to go through the journey. And the journey thing is beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. You were saying something?
What would you say is the most profound advice you've ever been given?
My late father, he was my spiritual mentor. Oh. He said to me, he taught me daily discipline, right? And he always said to me, if you want to become better, do a little bit every day. Every day. Work on it every day. There's the world is in such a speed of trying to do too much and too quick. When we focus on doing a little and daily discipline, we allow ourselves to move away from anxiety, because the world is pushing us so much in trying to get as much we can done in a day. And that doesn't allow us to be present. The to-do list never ends. So I would say try to do less in a day, but try to spend more time in contemplation, even though it seems like nothing. If you can spend an hour a day or 2 hours a day in contemplation, trust me, you can come up with amazing things. And the second thing I would say, very important, try to shift your environment. If you're in an environment that hampers you, lots of noise or draining energy, mechanical environments, try to shift yourself to a more natural environment. You'll find yourself blossoming. Because humans and nature are linked. Human and nature is linked. Plants, trees, and humans are linked. When we lose ourselves, nature also loses itself. When nature loses itself, we also lose ourselves. We don't realize how linked we are. So make the effort to make that shift. I made that effort. I came out of a city and I live in a small town with 10,000 people. It was tough to make that shift, but I realized that I have never felt more energized. And then I have other people, like friends and family, also wanted to make that shift and be near me. And I've realized it was a great thing. It's important.
Yeah, there's something about, I live in the middle of nowhere, Canada. And whenever I'm in a city or in a bustle of energy, it is always, you don't realize how much you take on of everything else when you're just allowed to be on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good
Well,
advice.
Tahira, is there anything else that you would like to share that you haven't been able to share yet?
I would say it's a very simple piece of advice. Is just have the courage to live the kind of life that you have dreamt about. And not because everybody else is living that life, like, a materialistic life. Try to shift out of that thinking because the social media world is very materialistic. I would say try to look at abundance in a different way. Abundance comes in many forms. There's so much about money, money, money. Abundance comes in different forms. I feel my life is abundant by being able to do these miracles. That's abundance. Good health is abundance. Lots of great friends and close friends is abundance. Shift that how you define wealth. That will change your life, I believe.
Well, in you saying that, I want to tell you how grateful I am for this conversation and for the ability to hear part of your story and your perspective, because I think so much of what you said was a fantastic reminder for most of us.
Yes. We need to constantly remind us this because we don't hear enough. And the way the world is wired right now, it always takes us back to the old. We just have to sometimes take a drastic step to step out. Sometimes it's drastic. And then people will see how you're living and then also be inspired. Yes. And when you change that for yourself, you help. I invite you to help communities to do the same. We shouldn't live in a selfish world. We should be helping others. It's very important. Yeah. Yeah. So redefining abundance. That's how you look at abundance. Sometimes I get tired when I see social media. It's too much. And now when we have the first trillionaire in the world, or is it first two? Is it Elon Musk and is it Jeff Bezos? Are they trillionaires?
I
Then
don't know.
also
I don't
AI
care.
valuations. The AI valuations have gone to $1 trillion valuations that everybody wants to set up an AI company. It's madness. And I'm speaking as a technology person. And it's interesting when you listen to the godfather of AI, the former Google. He's warning people. But those who don't know much are the ones who are going all out. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Always remember that you have a technology within yourself. Yes.
When you say AI, what is your perspective on all these data centers that are being built around the world?
Well, I mean, we do know that they use a lot of our water. They use a lot of energy. And also they are unhealthy for the people who are living nearby in terms of what they release out. So it's because we're going all out. There is a total out of balance happening.
Mhm, mhm.
So I would say it's a negative thing. Yeah. And yeah, it's total out of balance. And I would say we need to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
We need to start focusing
Well,
on ourselves, what we
I
have
love
within us.
what you said about, yeah, and nature. It's such a good reminder.
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of conversation, a lot of work going into sustainability, eco-sustainability, and then the carbon credits. But are people actually living in nature? Not enough. I mean, there's a lot going on there. A lot of companies are being given lots of subsidies, for eco and plant the trees. But there's not enough about living amongst the trees, because the minute they start creating a residential development, all that is cut out. And it's this again, chasing for the money, chasing for the subsidies, chasing for the credits. It's a money game. So putting like, for example, in some places, some cities, they said, okay, let's plant trees. So they have a building and they plant a tree on top of the building. Like, they put plants on the building. That's not really creating a natural environment.
No.
So you're breaking down, you're pulling down the trees, you're putting a building, and then you're putting a tree on top of the building. That's not really a natural
On cement.
environment. What's that?
On asphalt or on cement.
So it's just,
Yeah.
again, it's all just marketing. The whole world is on marketing. We got to go back to the basics. We need soil. It comes from the soil. So this a total
I couldn't
rethink
agree
is
more.
required.
I had this conversation with somebody recently, and around this perception of marketing. It used to be that it was either leather, not vegan leather. Vegan leather used to be plastic, but now it's being rebranded as vegan leather, and it's all in the marketing and all in the wording. But
It's all
anyways,
marketing.
I could go on and on.
We are in the world of marketing,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
but not really of integrity.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I so appreciate your time, Tahira. I so
Thank you.
appreciate your time. And I want you to know that we will have the links to your book and to your website in our notes for anybody that
Okay.
wants to reach out to you and connect with you. You'll be able to see her programs and everything that she offers on her website. And I thank you for your perspective and your time and everything that you are doing right now.
Thank you very much for this interview. And I appreciate the questions. They've been so relevant. And I hope that your audience would gain from this and also change their lives and make the right decisions.
Thank you, Tahira. All right.